Howdy, howdy, howdy. So we are here. So this is Reginald Kuankaru, and I am here tonight. This is Kemetic Centered Living YouTube channel, and I am the founder of Kemetic Centered Living, and just want to say hi. As y'all can see, I got some spectacles on this week, so I got some new eyes. So yeah, but anyway, life is good. Life is good. So hope you guys are doing good out there. Hope y'all doing good. So I'm the founder of Kemetic Centered Living, and I help those who are new and transitioning to African spirituality from the negative dogmatic programming of Christianity to learn and apply the empowering Kemetic framework so that it can help you live life boldly, authentically, unapologetically, and on your terms without guilt or shame. Because y'all know what? A lot of those, the indoctrination that we had as Christians, it really did a number on us, and a lot of times we didn't even realize it. We didn't even know what was going on, because we just assumed that the people who loved us was taking care of us. We trusted them, and rightfully so. We should. But they didn't know either, and so, I am an ex-Christian. I was, till I was, 20 years old, I was raised in Christianity. And I mean, I was born in it. And from the time I could do anything, I was a Christian, and the only place my mom was not late was church. Boy, that used to make me mad, but that's how it is. That's how it is. Let's see. We got Nexo Do 66. Hello. Kayla, what's going on? Kayla, good to see you. Melanated Phenomenon. Hello. Good to see you. So yeah, so I was a Christian for most of my early adulthood. All right, Gloria Davis, what's up? We got a member in the house. Good to see you, Gloria. Glad to have you here. And thank you for supporting the channel. Definitely appreciate you. And so yeah, so until I was 20 years old, man, I was like Christian. I had questions, but I could never not call myself a Christian until I started college. And once I started college, I happened to have gotten a basketball scholarship to a Christian college. And so neither one of them, they weren't related. I was just a good athlete, and they offered me a scholarship. I took it. Okay. But learned some lessons there, and one of the things that ended up happening was that the people there was a white Southern Baptist school. And a lot of times they were arrogant, as I would say. And it was basically, the attitude was that, you could be a good Christian, but you can never be as good a Christian as I am, until you turn white. And that was enough for me to say, you know what, I'd rather go to hell than admit that I'm inferior to somebody. So that started on the journey of atheism for me. And for the whole time I was there, I called myself an atheist. But, in the back of my mind, there was still, the religious still thing hanging over me. And, I thought about it. I was still kind of spiritual in a way. But in front of them, man, I shot them the finger just about every day. Not literally, but that was in my mind. That's kind of the way I was working. But it started a long journey for me, researching a lot of things. And I started researching religion comparatively, started just looking into a lot of different ideas. So the time that I was there at that school, I studied, a lot of stuff, religious wise. But it really wasn't until, it was years and years later that I finally stumbled onto metaphysics, really, and it was in 2006. I don't know if maybe y'all might have heard of The Secret, stuff like that. The Secret was basically an idea that, thoughts become things, and that spoke to me. Let me see if I can change up my glasses, because man, I feel like a blind man right now. Let me see. Oh, there I am. I gotta wear reading glasses. Those are some thick ones. But anyway, so thoughts becomes things, but that spoke to me on a level, and it made sense to me because of just some things that I had experienced in my life, that certain things that I did or said or whatever, they would come to fruition. I noticed like different things happen in relationships, just different things. It just made sense to me. Hello, love flow. So when I started really studying that stuff, I'm always that person that's like, I'm forever that 4-year-old kid that's going, why? Thoughts become things. Why? You know, uh, because I said so. Why? That was just me. so, no, CC, that's not true. Actions don't become thing. If you don't understand the principles, you might think that, and people think that actions become things, but the thoughts always precede actions. Beliefs always precede actions. But anyway, that's going a little bit deeper there. So it's not actions become things. So I'm talking science here. Talking of science here. So, but anyway, I studied metaphysics for a long time, and for many years before I even came across the Kemetic stuff. What the Kemetic stuff did for me was ended up answering the questions that I had about Christianity, because once I got into the metaphysics, I pretty much was gone from Christianity, as far as calling myself a Christian or anything like that. Now, the programming, a lot of that was still there. That's just not stuff that you get over, overnight. Okay. So a lot of people feel like, they awaken, and then, they can all of a sudden move on with their life and start doing whatever. But man, if you grew up in Christianity, if you were raised in Christian, if you were indoctrinated before 7 years old, the Christianity doesn't leave you. The indoctrination doesn't. You work the rest of your life trying to get over it. Okay. And unless you are very introspective and able to work through that stuff, it's very difficult. So at any rate, so the Kemetic stuff was something that helped me answer a lot of questions. So tonight, I wanted to go over an idea with you that I've studied within Kemeticism. If you've been at my channel and you've like seen a number of my videos, you'll find that I don't regurgitate stuff. Okay, and you'll find a lot of people that just kind of like they'll repeat what they've heard, but they really haven't studied it. They don't know it. And I have to say, when you come to my channel and you listen to my the knowledge that I present, you'll find that you won't find it anywhere else. It's very unique. I have a very unique skill set, and that I could study a lot of different metaphysical, what could I call them, genres, I guess. I don't know, this is the best word I can think of right now. I study a lot of different things. It's just how my mind works. But I also have the ability to connect the dots for you, okay, and to help people, even these complex concepts or seemingly complex concepts, I'm able to connect the dots in ways that people haven't. Okay. So one of the things that a lot of people are coming across these days is, and I see a lot of, I don't know if y'all have noticed, but there are a lot of Bible scholars now that are turning atheist. Okay. And I mean, they're like, they're coming out of the woodworks. These dudes just like, man, I've spent all this time, because what's happening is that with the internet, that there is just so much knowledge that is available that wasn't before, that they're starting to figure out that a lot of this stuff doesn't add up. And now they got all kinds of stuff that they can basically cross-check each other. They can talk to each other, you know, in minutes. There can be an idea that can go around the world. I mean, literally in minutes. So, so a lot of these scholars, man, are like, they're coming out the woodworks, and they're just like, you know, God, no, there ain't no God. A lot of them now, and this is what y'all are going to hear, because I've been talking and talking this idea on my channel for at least 5 years. Okay, the idea that the man Jesus never existed, and most people will assume that me and anybody else that will say that is absolutely batshit crazy. Okay, if they hadn't studied what we know. Okay, so I'm not the only one. So there's a lot of people, but now a lot of Bible scholars are coming forward with their ideas, and they still haven't even made it to Egypt yet with the knowledge, you know. So I can look at what they've studied and basically see how they come up with their ideas, because you know, a man walking on water, but you know, nobody else has heard of it. You know, I mean, come on, somebody walking on water. You know, somebody around the world is going to be like that's going to spread around the world. You know, but outside of the Bible, there's no evidence of it. You know, the Testimonium Flavianum, that this one little nugget that a lot of the apologists, biblical apologists, hold on to, has been proven a fraud. You know, Tacitus's statement wasn't even about Jesus; it was just some general statement. So a lot of scholars have just proven these little strings that could have made Jesus a historical person. They're unraveling, and they're unraveling quick. So you guys are going to start to hearing this information. It's going to start coming out. It's probably just little by little. It hadn't hit mainstream yet, but I'm telling you, give it a little time, and they're not going to be able to hold the floodgates back. They will not be able to hold it back. Okay. So there's going to be a lot of people, you guys that are here now, y'all are kind of ahead of the curve, because now y'all have started to kind of look in some other ideas too, and looking at things a different way. So first of all, pat yourself on the back, because you have to be like mentally some of the strongest individuals on the planet, because in order to get over the indoctrination, you have to weigh the idea of going to hell or just having faith. And if you don't have faith, then you're probably going to go to hell. And when you got that juxtaposition of ideas and possibilities, and you still research anyway, man, that says a lot about you. Says a lot about you. So I'm saying to you, get ready, okay? And there's going to be a lot of people coming out with this knowledge, you know, and just, but they still, like I said, they stop at Greece most times, and they stop at the historical stuff, which is good, because they're corroborating a lot of evidence. But man, it's going to change a lot of stuff. It's getting ready to change a lot of stuff. So let's see. Let me see. Just going back up here. Just going back here. Segura says, is one or so called. Oh, if you set me in black here. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah. What happened to leave souls? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I see y'all got a couple of questions in here. So let's address this. This is Humble Books LLC says, my question is, if our ancestors didn't have a concept of hell in Kemet, then why was there the judgment, and what happened to the bad souls that don't balance what the feather of my eye? And so you and Humble, that's a really good question. Okay, what in other words, in the Hall of Judgment scene is what Humble Books LLC is talking about. And understand that your question is being asked from a religious perspective, from the perspective of there being like religious judgment. Okay, the ancient Kemetians, the way that they looked at these ideas was they were not a religion, and that's what a lot of people don't grasp, is that that Kemeticism was not a religion. Even though Christianity came from Kemeticism, Kemeticism was not a religion. Okay, it was a philosophical and metaphysical system. So the Hall of Judgment had nothing to do with this big God in the sky judging you. That's not what it was. The judgment is the about the Osirian cycle, and understand that Osiris was the metaphysical principle or personification of a soul. You as a soul in human form. Okay, in other words, the way that the Africans used the netters was just ideas that of nature that they personified. Okay, so like Tahuti or Jehudi, Thoth was the personification of the human mind. The human mind created science and medicine and all this kind of stuff. It was just the personification of the human mind, but it was a personification that was universal to all of humanity. Okay, so judgment was, and their ideas that they were talking about was the actual soul and the journey of the soul, not a physical body, not a physical human. Christianity and our science today makes physicality or the materialist world the primary world. In ancient Kemet, that was not the primary world. The primary world was the metaphysical world, or what they call the heavens. So a soul would come from the heavens, and I'm not talking about up there, I'm just talking about the metaphysical world. But our idea is that heaven is up there somewhere, even though the world is round, somebody's on the bottom. But anyway. So when the soul descended from the heavens into the underworld, okay, which the underworld is earth, the soul came with an agenda. Okay, I'll just put it as soul. So the soul came with an agenda. So when the soul came with that agenda, once the soul left the physical body or left the underworld and went back to the metaphysical world, okay, then it was asked of that soul, did you accomplish your agenda? Basically, did you accomplish your goals? So the hall of Ma'at, or the God, it's not the hall of Ma'at, but that where the scales were, weighing a feather against the heart. That was actually asking the soul, did you live life lighthearted? That's one aspect of that. Okay, just one symbolic aspect of that. Did you enjoy life? You know. So it wasn't God judging, okay? The other part of that was the beast Amet, okay? That was like a lion, a crocodile, and a hippopotamus, I believe it was. It was three different. It was a composite of three different animals, but what that represented was different energies, okay? And that the energies that didn't, I guess that didn't, how can I say? That the soul didn't use or didn't do with, that energy would be absorbed by that aspect of Amet or Amet. Okay, so in that sense, it wasn't a judgment. It was the idea that the soul was basically balancing itself. So did you live life lighthearted? Did you have fun on earth? Did you accomplish your goals? And it wasn't like if you didn't accomplish your goals. In other words, it wasn't if you be a good boy or a good girl, you're going to get to go to heaven. That wasn't the judgment. So the judgment is, did you live and accomplish the goals that you came to accomplish on earth? Okay. So that's what the balancing of the feather of Ma'at. The idea is that when you stay in balance, you don't live life too fearful, and you don't live life too ecstatic about stuff. You just kind of balance things out. Okay. So that's what that was about. All right. Let's see. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and what I want to do is talk about tonight the difference between the esoteric difference between Jesus and Christ from a Kemetic perspective. Okay. So from a Kemetic perspective, this idea, these were two ideas that were universal to human experience. Okay. So Jesus represented one aspect and Christ represented another. Okay. But these were ideas that were universal, that the ancient Kemetians, that the ancient Kemetians personified, and then the Christians historicized. Okay. But these were supposed to be about the aspects of the soul, as the soul is journeying through coming from the heavens, through life, and then back out. Okay. So without further ado, let me get going here. So the average person thinks when they learn the truth about Christianity that they're woke. But in reality, it is the first awakening of many. There are levels of wokeness, okay? And when I say awakening from the Kemetic perspective, that just means that you're becoming aware, okay? That you're becoming aware of something. No matter what aspect of life that might be, you gain some level of awareness, okay? So they personified these ideas, and they talked about them in a way, in symbolic ways, because a lot of this was never written down, and it was never supposed to be written down, because as soon as you put it into words, it's like how can I say, you box in what the meaning could be, okay, or you box in what the possibilities could be. So with ancient Kemetic symbolism, and this is one of the reasons why they use the hieroglyphs, or what they call the hieroglyphs, or the Medu Neter, for thousands of years, because the Medu Neter allowed for different meanings to be. One symbol could have 5 different meanings depending on the person's level of knowledge and experience. Okay. So one of the reasons parables were put in the Bible is because they were trying to mimic that idea with words, where they could write something in a way that the words could mean more levels, or mean different things on different levels, depending on the person's level of knowledge, okay, and experience. So if you're interested in this type of thing, you can learn this. I have a course at the Esoteric Christ, and that's KRST, the esotericchrist.com. And I give you a unique breakdown of the ancient Kemetic symbolism that spawned the idea of what became Jesus Christ within Christianity. So the course is designed to have you understand symbolism in a way that will not only help you decode the Bible, but it will also connect your inner subjective world to your daily life. Okay. Meaning that the ancients, one of the principles of ancient Kemet is that your inner world, or your outer world, is the reflection of your inner world. So your inner world is being projected outside of you, to give you an idea of how you are being from the inside. Okay, that's what the ego mind is for. Okay, so you release the constant anxiety you felt as a Christian because of the confusion and conflict. By learning this knowledge, you'll gain the breakdown. Let's see here. Just put the banner up there. So it's the Esoteric Christ. You'll gain the breakdown, a religious framework. You'll begin to break down a religious framework that has told you that you are a born sinner and need a savior to redeem you simply by having faith and believing in what you've been told. Now, how many of you believe that you can progress in a job, or develop a better relationship, or create a viable financial plan without gaining some type of experience and working through problems that might arise? Okay. Now we all know that you need to, that as you grow, you have to gain experience, and you're gonna have things that you're gonna slip up on, you're gonna mess up on. So everyone, logically, in order to grow in any of those areas, it takes some type of learning through experience. So that's the foundation of the idea of Jesus and Christ. Okay, so the ancient idea of Jesus and Christ. On a psychological level, And y'all know that you can take this from a psychological level. You can look at this on an earth science level. You can also look at it as a look at it from a astrological level. Okay, so these symbols were multi-layered and multi-dimensional. So what I'm talking about tonight is just we're going to talk about this psychologically. All right, and so I need you to understand that this is one aspect that I'm sharing. Okay, so just one aspect of this information that I'm sharing, and it's an introduction for those who wish to expand their knowledge and understanding of these ideas. I want to introduce you to the idea here tonight with tonight's lesson. I know that most people believe that Jesus was a historical person, and I completely understand, and I'm not here to debate that. So if that's something that you want to believe, and that's something that your faith tells you to believe, and it works for you, believe it. Okay, I'm giving you some more. This is going to be some more ideas. I simply have a different different beliefs based on the knowledge that I've acquired over years of study and research. Okay. I'm presenting you some of that research tonight. As I'm going through this, I want you to check in with your own inner guidance. Ask yourself, does this feel right? One question. And does it make sense? Okay. In other words, you don't have to jump through some logical hoops to accept the idea. Does it just make sense? Okay. Because within Christianity, that's what we're told to do a lot of times. We have to jump through logical hoops. And when they don't make sense, we have to accept the illogical ideas on faith that what we're being told is the truth. Case in point, let's talk about Adam and Eve that had two sons. They were the first parents, had two sons that populated the entire earth. Come on now. I mean, there had to be some women around in there somewhere. Okay. So that story, even with our logical brain, we know that story doesn't make sense, but we're supposed to accept it on faith and never question it. Okay. Now, so here's the thing. If you answer those two questions with a yes, then it does not matter what anyone else believes, because for you, it becomes about knowing. When you know, it just feels right. Okay. So let's get going. All right. So from my knowledge and research into the Kemetic spiritual system, the story of Jesus is esoteric, and esoteric just means that it was hidden knowledge. So a lot of this knowledge was never supposed to be written down. So the actual writing down of the gospels, writing down the information even in story form, and it was actually written in coded language, but they was still written down. It was never supposed to be. Okay, there was a break in the esoteric tradition. All right. So Jesus is the personification of the ancient concept of Christ. Okay, the revealer of the light of wisdom within all humanity. Another way to say this is that Jesus is the personification of an aha moment. Okay, and when I say an aha moment, all of us have had these experiences where we go, "Oh, wow, yeah, that makes sense." Okay, and then it can change you. It can change your beliefs. It can change the way you behave. It can change a lot of things. But that aha moment happens. Okay, so a light bulb comes on. Okay, and I'm using some specific language here because it's going to connect some dots for you. All right. So when the light bulb comes on, you go, "Oh, yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense." Well, in ancient African symbolism, we were talking about the personification of certain functions of humanity. So when the light bulb comes on, and how you can connect the dots from the ancient Kemeticism to the Bible is the functions. All right. So Jesus is known as the light of the world. Aha, the light bulb comes on. Okay. Every eye shall see him, the sun. The sun represents light. Okay. The function of Horus or Heru was like Heru was also known as the light of the world. Heru was also known as the way. Okay. So I can get a lot deeper in that, but I'm just kind of giving you the basics, okay? So I can get a lot deeper. The course that I have, it goes way deeper, okay? The 5 hours of content on this, breaking this down, okay? So the ancients were very specific in characterizing an experience as a passive or receptive mode or as an active mode, okay? We know them today as divine feminine and divine masculine. We can translate the word divine to mean universal, okay? So the term that we use is universal, meaning that it connects to everybody. The ancients used divine, okay? It's the same concepts, just different words today, okay? Meaning it's a part of the universal experience of humanity. Jesus was personified as the masculine because the aha moment is an active event. Ah, okay, it's an active event, okay? Rather than you just going like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That would be something passive, okay? You're just thinking about it. It's inside your head. But an aha, that's an active principle, all right? The miracles like walking on water, turning water into wine, healing the blind, and bringing the dead to life are personifications of esoteric concepts. You have to know the deeper esoteric knowledge here to connect the dots here. But all of those walking on water, turning water into wine, healing the blind, all of those were something that Horus did, okay, or Jesus, Yeusa, as it was known in ancient Egypt. The Gospels are only really a drama or play teaching the initiates concepts using the personification of Jesus as a teacher or revealer of ideas. Okay. One book this is confirmed in is titled The Pagan Christ by Tom Harper. And he talks about this. So the Pagan Christ, it says the Gospels are really a drama about the Christos, with Jesus in the starring role as a dramatic personality. Jesus is a symbolic personification of the Christos. Okay. The knowledge that became part of the Bible was meant to give initiates being trained in the Egyptian mystery systems information about their individual journey as a soul and that of humanity. Okay. So it was about the soul but the soul of all humans. Okay. Universal idea. Just like any teacher today, we try to find new and interesting ways to present information to our students so they don't get bored. It was the same back then. And someone came up with the dramas that became part of what we now know as the Bible Gospels in modern times. All right. So let's see here. Where am I? Okay. So Jesus was meant to explain how the aha moment impacts or enlightens us. So back then, it's a very simplistic idea, but back then this was new. They never started to really map human consciousness in a way or to explain these ideas, these psychological ideas. This is them starting to do that back then. And they were by our standards today, they're very simplistic. Okay. But because we've worshiped them and didn't know what they were about, we don't even understand the simplicity of the idea and what they're talking about, obviously. So the thing that you must understand is that this aha moment of awakening is not one singular event. Everyone has a series of awakenings throughout their lifetime. Okay, it can be different areas. It could be in a relationship. It could be about your finances. It could be about relationship with your parents. Your career. So you have different aha moments all throughout your life in different areas of life. You can have them daily. Okay, just realizations of things coming to realization for you. So in the Bible, Jesus had followers or disciples. The disciples represented personality types with astrological signs at their foundation. Okay, for example, Judas is the saboteur. Okay, how many times do we sabotage our own journey? We might be like we want to get promoted on a job, but out of fear, we start to do things that end up backfiring on us. Okay, that would be the psychological idea of a saboteur. You're sabotaging your own self. That's what Judas did to Jesus on his journey. Okay, he was a saboteur. Okay, all right. I'll ask a question. Does that make more sense than the other ideas that they were talking about? Okay, or make just as much anyway. So in modern times, we have compartmentalized our study of personality types to the field of psychology. Within psychology, we determine patterns of behavior. Some psychologists connected to Carl Jung call the personality types archetypes. An archetype is a common pattern of behavior that society and culture recognizes. We're all familiar with archetypes, okay? So, for example, if someone said he's a nerd, okay? I've been called a nerd every now and then, then we'll immediately know what a nerd is, okay? You don't have to explain a nerd. You can just say, hey, he's a nerd, and you have an idea of what this person is like, personality-wise, okay? See, if I said someone was a real warrior, you would have an idea about this person's personality type. If I said she's a boss, you would know the type of woman she is. If I said he's a bully, okay, you would know the type of personality that this individual has. All right. So a nerd, a warrior, a boss, and a bully are all personality archetypes. These same concepts within the ancient times were discussed and analyzed. They simply had a different language in which to talk about these ideas, and they connected them holistically with mind, body, and soul. Jesus and his 12 disciples were on one level addressing the personality. So Jesus was the central figure, okay, the Son, and the personalities that he went through different stages as he went through life, okay? Those 12 stages, 12 main personality types. But on another level, on another level, the ideas were exploring the universal laws and common sense. Today, we call the ancient concepts using faith or praying or getting therapy. But they are all processes the ancient Africans used to be more, do more, and have more along their life journey. In other words, these concepts were self-help ideas used for personal transformation. Okay? In the Bible, stories with Jesus and the disciples are the individual soul that is gaining wisdom through reconciling these personality archetypes throughout a lifetime. Again, we know this character or personified soul in the Bible as Jesus. The origin of the person we know as Jesus Christ can be found in ancient Kemet. Jesus Christ is a composite of two Kemetic netters, Osiris and Heru. But there are two distinct functions within the human experience. The experience of the inner Christ is unique and real. The Christos is an ancient archetype. Jesus, in its original allegorical form, can have practical meaning for those that choose to understand the Kemetic science and symbolic meaning. So, what is a Christ? So, a KRST from the Kemetic perspective. On one level, a Christ is a person through wisdom from life experience that has evolved, is a person through life experience that has evolved to a level of knowing and connected to experiencing their God self or higher self. One way this might happen in our everyday life is when we go through an emotional storm. The archetype of going through a storm of life was represented in the biblical miracle of Jesus walking on water. It was presented symbolically through allegory. So this is in Matthew 14, verse 22 through 32. So it's the miracle of Jesus in walking on water. But the miracle of Jesus is recounted. It talks about it being windy and possibly stormy. The disciples were afraid and witnessed Jesus walking on water. The disciple Peter began walking on water until he began to sink. Jesus had to rescue him. He got into the boat with them, and Jesus got into the boat with them, and all of them calmed down. This story is expressing what we would call the archetypal pattern of a victim. Okay, the storm of life was happening, and the disciples, or personality aspects, were crying out for someone to save them from the storm. Peter, at one point, began to believe that he could handle the storm and began walking on the water, shall we say, rising above his emotions until something, maybe a negative friend, oh, child, you can't, you ain't gonna get that bill paid. Just forget about it. Okay, you know, shook him, and Peter lost his faith and failed. All right. So when Jesus admonished Peter for not having faith, it was to teach us that we do have the power to overcome our storms in life. Okay. So, in other words, again, Jesus was the aha moment. Okay. The storm, in this case, the water represented emotions. And symbolically, y'all know that the storm can represent emotions. Okay. Or water can represent emotions. All right. So you don't drown in your emotions, you rise above them and walk through the storm. Once you come through the storm with the trust and guidance of your higher self, you then become a Christ. So, in other words, you realize something, aha, I could handle this. And through your wisdom, now you've elevated yourself in wisdom. And that's what a Christ meant back in ancient times. It's again, it's universal principles that talk about our human journey, a soul as a human, and having our journey through life. Okay. So Jesus is the aha moment, and Christ is your state of being, your elevated state of now you know, your knowingness. Okay. So that's a quick synopsis of what the story was meant to convey through knowledge of archetypes. Okay. There's still more esoteric knowledge to pull from almost every line in that scripture. The difference between understanding the science and believing in a miracle is monumental for your life. Instead of marveling at the biblical miracle, you understand the meaning it has in your life. It's no longer looking to Jesus in the storm of your life. You rise to recognize that you must calm yourself in order to get through the storm. So now you have a basic esoteric understanding of the difference between Jesus and Christ from the ancient African Kemetic paradigm. Your gods and goddesses in training. The Kemetic teachings are designed to give you universal information that you can apply to your life. They are processes that become a way of life and empower you and make your life better. Christianity, on the other hand, teaches us that you are powerless and need a savior. In other words, Jesus is going to do it. Just lay it at the feet of Jesus. Okay. But in your life experience, has Jesus ever shown up? And I mean this literally. Has Jesus ever come knocking on your door? Okay. And said, hey, I'm here to save you. Now, I didn't ask if you gave credit to Jesus. I asked if he has ever shown up and walked through your storm with you. Now, you can give credit to the idea all day long. And that's what we did as Christians. If that works for you, great, use that. But I'm saying to you that the person the Jesus person that we were told about in the Bible never walked the earth. That idea was meant to represent something in you and to empower you. Okay. So I already know the answer is no. You don't have to do that. But anyway, so again, in my course, How to Quickly and Easily Learn the Kemetic Esoteric Keys to Unlock the Bible, you learn how to read the Bible beyond the limited dogmatic way that we were taught as Christians. If you're interested in cracking the secret coded language of the Bible and becoming more intuitive, you can get more information at my website at www.theesoterickrst.com, theesotericchrist.com. All right. Now, I'll be glad to answer questions. And I'll tell you, if I know the answer, I'll answer it. If I don't know the answer, I will say I don't know. Okay. So that's how that works here. All right. LA, what's happening? Good to see you, LA. Good to see you. All right. All right. Let's do it. Let's do it. Miami. Heat like Miami. What's up? Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. I see some of my peeps is here. Some of my peeps. And thank you for supporting the channel. Heat like Miami. I appreciate you. All you guys that are supporters, I appreciate you so much, because it's like, if I give value, and that's what I try to do, is I try to give value with everything that I do here on this channel to help people, to help transform your life. And when you give back, I definitely appreciate that. And thank you so much for that. All right. So if you don't know to become a member of the channel. There are different levels to do this, and it definitely, if you want to help support the work, you can definitely do that. And I definitely appreciate all of you that do. Okay, and I'll just put the link here. You can look at that. You get different perks for becoming a member, and let's see, and you can look that over there. So I just put that link in the chat, but you can look that over and see how to become a member. So if I give you something, if there is something that I gave you and you went like, oh man, I didn't know that, hey, I just gave you some value, so hey, so give back, so I appreciate it. All right, yes, click those buttons, click that like button, definitely. All right. Okay, so if we got, hey LA, I've missed you guys too, and I'm gonna be getting back here. So I'm gonna start doing this again on Wednesdays, and being here and helping you guys. You got questions and stuff like that. Hey, I'll be here. Okay, so missed you guys as well. So yes, so thank you. All right, John Fort, what's happening, my brother? Man, John is always encouraging me, man. I sure enough appreciate you. I do. I really do. Let's see here and say he like man says all day fam. You always answer my questions on your videos since day one. Got to prime the pump. All right, see there? She got the principle. Excuse me. There you go, priming that pump. And when you understand about priming the pump, she's using me to help herself, you know? So priming the pump, absolutely. Priming the pump means that you give the universe a little bit of something that you want so that you can have it magnified back to you. Okay, that's what that means. All right. Let's see. Okay. All right, fam. So if y'all got any questions, come on with it. So does this what I was saying here tonight, does this sound outlandish? Does this sound just absolutely crazy? Okay. And again, if you guys are interested in these ideas and learning this esoteric knowledge, you can go to my page. And I got it scrolling across the bottom there. Say esotericchrist.com. And I'm telling you, there is nothing else like this. And I break this down in a very simplified way. So a way that basically, I was an 8th grade teacher, school teacher. So I break it down to a level to where if my 8th graders can't understand it, then I'm not teaching it very well. This is the way I look at it. So I break it down to at that level to where, and it's using that level of language to where I know that more people can access these ideas. Okay. So they're not like, some airy fairy ideas. And this is the other thing about the knowledge that I share here. You don't leave my channel and go, man, I wonder what what was he talking about? Now in the beginning you might do that, but if you start to connect the dots, you start to watch a lot of my stuff, you'll notice the consistency in what I teach. Okay. And you'll notice the simplicity of how I make it. Okay. When I teach it. All right. So that's and for me, that's very important that that I don't give you just knowledge just for trivia, because that's a lot of times what happens is people call it Kemetic, but all they're doing is just doing history. This is my channel is not about history per se. It's about a system of ideas that can empower you. Okay, that's really what it's about. Let's see, so LA says being selfless. Is that what priming the pump means? Not necessarily. Okay, because a lot of times, LA, people can be selfless to a point to where they end up being harmful to themselves. If you're giving out of gratitude, in that sense of being selfless, absolutely, positively. But I know the idea of people being like a people pleaser, and I'm like a people pleaser de jour that's having to reform myself. All right, but they do things hoping that people will like them. Okay. In that way, they might give of their time, or they might give money, they might give whatever it might be, but it's with the idea that I'm going to get that somebody's going to like me because I do this, not giving it out of gratitude. In that sense, selflessness is not selflessness. Okay, it's sacrifice. And if you're giving through sacrifice and obligation, those are two different energies. Those are negative energies, sacrifice and obligation. But when you're doing something for gratitude, it's like when you're doing something for your children. This is how a way that I can tell you the difference. You will give if your child is in trouble or financially, whatever. If you got your last $50 and your child needs 30, you will give your child $30 if you knew that it will just help them. Okay. That in that way, you'll help your child in a way because you love them and you want them to be okay, and you'll give to them. It's not a sacrifice at that point. You just give into your child because you want to make sure your child is okay. That's out of love, for your child. Okay. But if you give into somebody because you're feeling like a church, tithing, the principle of tithing and the way that it's practiced is two different things. Because tithing is supposed to be like priming a pump. You give a little, and then you're signaling the universe for something that you want. Okay. And the universe, when you give it with gratitude, the universe will reflect that back. Okay. And then so that's what tithing is supposed to be about. But in church, you're made to feel guilty if you don't. You're made to feel like something's wrong with you if you don't have it to give, So that's a different energy. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, exactly, Gloria. That's why tithing never works. If you're giving out of obligation, sacrifice, out of fear, if you're giving to the church from that space of being, then it doesn't work. You're exacerbating the problem of lack when you're doing it from that perspective. Okay. Let's see. All right, I'm a God. Hey, good to have you. Good to have you. So I'm a God says, Mr. Martin, it's the first time on the live stream. Well, great to have you here. And I see you asking a lot of questions on the videos and stuff. So I definitely appreciate you being here. Most definitely. Let's see. And LA says, I gave to my family and friends just to get validation. Now I get it. Yeah, there you go, LA. There you go. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Kayla, what's up? What's up? Says, can you speak about the saying God's will or what God wants for me? Every time I hear it, I think to my inner self and also understanding that things are moving without me forcing it. So in this case, people are projecting human concepts onto God, okay, or what the idea of God. And I'm going to give y'all an idea of how the Africans thought about this. And some of y'all might think it's batshit crazy. But God does not think. God is the what we know as God is not like a human being. It is not sentient. It is a field. It is a field that you can send your being into, and it reflects it back. But it does not think. And if you look at the symbol, the ancient Kemetic symbolism, you'll notice a lot of the netters, they would have their heads, this part of their head covered, or they would have it cut off in some kind of way. They might have a hat or something on it. It was always covered, okay? That was symbolically letting you know that the netters did not think. The netters, the people will say that the Egyptians worshiped many gods. No, they didn't. They did not. They were monotheistic, more so than Christianity. There was no ideas like hell, because how could God send a part of itself to hell? If we all came from one source and we're all a part of the same source, why would the source send an aspect of itself to hell? That would not make sense in African spirituality. Okay. So when we say God's will, or God wants this for me, it's really somebody else saying or talking about what they believe. And it's really about them and their will, Now they might surrender that will or surrender it to somebody else that's in authority or somebody else that's in power. But God does not think, and God does not dictate. You have the power from within you to create and dictate what you want in your life. Okay. I hope that makes sense. But God does not think. God ain't sitting on high watching you masturbate and waiting to send you to hell. Oh, and somebody be like, wait a minute, God, are you watching me? No, no, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. Let's see. If a child transitions before you, are they an ancestor? They hmm. So so understand that from this perspective, we are our ancestors. Okay, we are the incarnating aspect of our ancestors because we existed and have existed for ages. Okay, so whether it's a child or an ancestor or the usually we incarnate and have lives that are with souls that we travel through lifetimes with. Okay. So, and you're asking, is it in the context of a life on earth? Could they be an ancestor? Could be. I don't know. But you're asking it in a context where you're talking about an eternal being that incarnates thousands of times. So, if you're talking about in this one instance, could be, could not, you know? So, but you have to think broader in terms of a soul and a soul living thousands of lives when you're asking these questions. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Okay, so Humble Books LLC says the earth feels like hell to many who struggle outside their own will. Why would we send ourselves to a place that feels like hell, i.e., illness, natural disasters, life prison terms for innocence? Oh, excuse me. Because every soul has a journey to make for some reason. And if you live thousands of lives, you're going to want to have different types of experiences. So you're not going to want to live and do the same exact thing a thousand different times. You just get bored. So as a soul, you give yourself different challenges. So you might give yourself a terminal illness to see if you can heal yourself, or to or your journey might coincide and connect with somebody else's. Your journeys fit together like a puzzle. Okay. So you might get a terminal illness because somebody else as a soul might need to learn what it feels like to love somebody unconditionally, or to love someone and lose that person, you know, and what that does to that individual when they lose that person. So there's all kinds of things that can go on. So there's no one pat answer, you know. So as many different lessons or many different experiences as we can have, there are that number of people on earth. I mean, so there's different ways to look at this. uh let's see here. Beautiful being. Yeah, beautiful being. And I don't know the answer to that question, so I can't give you like one pat answer for that. Just what I was saying, there could be any number of things. So you're asking me if she can be an ancestor. I don't know if she can be an ancestor. Okay. So and I don't know the context that you think of that in as well. So we've never talked, so I don't understand the context necessarily that you're thinking about ancestors. Okay. So I know ancestors from the past, but how you think of that concept in a broader sense, I don't know. So I can't. I'm afraid I can't answer that question for you, or give you clarity on that necessarily. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, can you speak on human creation? What do you think about the Adam and Eve story? Who created us? A god or gods or aliens? Now that's from a Kemetic perspective, it is our soul that creates us or is in human form. Okay, so our soul creates the being that we are. So there's not God, and then everything is created. God created everything. There's different levels to all of this. Okay, so could there be another alien race that could have created humans? Possibly. Somebody, some race more advanced? Sure. I mean, we cloning shit now, so it's possible, but I can't speak to that for sure. So I don't know. Don't know. Good question. Good question. Let's see. The biggest people is let's see. Have you ever talked to someone into consciousness on the spot? I told a relative to read Psalms 82, and he just didn't get it. Yeah, they don't want to get that because a lot of times, if you tell somebody that they're a god, they don't want to get that because it's like, wait a minute, you're telling me I got power? You mean I have responsibility for me? I can do something about this, and I can't play the victim anymore. I don't want to get that. So that's a lot of times what you're going to deal with on that, Kayla. So for sure, or Kevin, that was Kevin's Kevin Gibson. Yeah. So that's what they're going to do. All right. All right. All right. Humble Books LLC. Sure. Good thing. Good thing. All right, family. Well, it's about that time. So I want to say thank you guys for being here. I hope that you got something of value from it. If you did, hey, you can also give. You can hit that little button at the bottom that says a little bit of cash my way. So if not, don't worry about it. It's all good. It's all good. But I definitely again glad you guys are here. I hope you got something from it. And until next time, okay? So we'll do it again. All right, guys. Hey, y'all have an amazing day, an amazing rest of the day, and I will talk with y'all later, okay? Reginald Kuakaru or Reginald Martin, aka Kuakaru, out. All right, guys.